Before we go any further into this video, I just want to remind you that it is very important that you call your utility companies. In Minnesota, that's go for one state, and call before you dig. Hi, this is Teresa.
This is Chris.
From Honest Home Inspection, and today we're going to be talking about patios.
So we got 105 pavers. They're 16 by 16. They're used, reclaimed, as you know.
We wanted it to be somewhere where we could enjoy possibly a fire pit, enjoy maybe some nice scenery. And so ultimately, to make everything work out, we decided to have the patio out in front of the house so we could enjoy the view of the park, and we would be away from our giant gorgeous pine trees because they're like enormous wicks and we can't have a fire pit underneath or anywhere near those pine trees if we want to keep our house.
Right. So we're going to take you through the steps that we're going through in order to put this patio in.
All right. I'm over here next to what remains of the stumps to our yew trees that were planted out in front of our house. They were enormous when we first moved in. We cut all the hedges back and let some of them start growing back in, and then ultimately decided that we were going to put the patio in front of that side of the house. So we had to remove the yew stumps. And removing stumps is not an easy process, but it is doable. It just is time consuming, and you have to be willing to do a little bit of heavy work. What you have to do when you're removing a stump is dig out around the stump. See how the root up here, you can see some of my feeble little hatchet marks when I was trying to determine if I could hatchet this apart. You got to dig out far enough so that whatever you're using as a cutting device can actually break through the root system. And just cut the roots around the edges until you can get the tree stump to wiggle. It's a lot like pulling a tooth, but a lot heavier work. So what I did was I dug a circle around the stump further out, cut all the heavy roots with a hatchet, and then wiggled it back and forth to find any more root systems that were still attached so that I could finally pull the whole thing loose. Was able to lift these both away from the holes by myself, but after trying to lift this one, trying to lift this one by myself, I determined that I really needed help, and I stopped, and I went to get Chris to come help me lift it up into the wheelbarrow. So make sure that whatever work you're doing, you don't hurt your back, you don't lift more than you should, and that you're really careful about protecting your back, because there's a lot more work ahead for you if you're putting a patio in.
These are the layout lines that you'll use to determine the edges of your patio and how deep to dig in each area. We will be going into more detail about how to set these lines in the next episode.
So the whole area where the patio is going in was covered in regular yard sod. And the first step before digging down was getting the sod removed. And I'll show you how that works. So you want to take your shovel, give it a kick, bend it back, and then kick it a few more times in, and then level it out. And that was pretty much what I did for this whole area. And I'll be the first person to tell you I don't work well in straight lines. So I kind of zigzagged around, depended on how I felt, depending on where the shade was falling, but eventually all the sod got out. And if you have small people that live with you or any extra helpers around, what I would do would be pop up all the sod chunks and have the kids follow afterwards and carry the loose chunks to the wheelbarrow so we could dump them later. And it worked out great. I think that we cleared this whole area of sod in a very casual 3 hours of work. And that included popsicle breaks and that sort of thing. So it was heavy work, but it wasn't as intensive, I'd say, as the stump removal section. So the kids and I got this part cleared, and next we're going to spend some time leveling this out to the depth that it's supposed to be at.